So as we head towards the 13:10 tap-off, just a reminder that the merch tent is now open, over towards the medical tent and the information tent. So if you want to buy any merch for the event this year, please make your way over there. Again, please do take on plenty of hydration throughout the day. It is quite mild, but you guys are working very hard, so please take on plenty of hydration so we don't get dehydrated later on in the event. There are food outlets available over the stand zone near the large screen, far side of the tent on the side of the pavilion. So if you are hungry or thirsty or want just a little bit of warm-up, then clear over there. The sun's just peeking its head through the clouds. So hopefully warm our spirits. So we just have a little over 3 minutes till the next tap-off. So please make your way to your appropriate field of play for the next game if you haven't already. Ladies and officials, person officials, this is your 2-minute warning. Ladies and officials, 2 minutes. Ladies and officials, this is your 1-minute warning. Ladies and officials, 1 minute. Ladies and officials, 30 seconds.
And welcome.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Riverside Park. And we've got the men's 50s, USA versus Japan. So we're at Riverside Park. I've been let loose on the men's 50s. We've got the United States versus Japan. 1 minute into the game and no score from Japan off the opening tap-off, but the US now driving down the left-hand side of the field. This is my first game commentating here at Riverside, where a lot of the masters and seniors grades are playing until we all converge on the main site at Highfields. Great game last game, Fiji and New Zealand. But the men's 50s, this is where all the touch knowledge comes into play. Not so much of the speed as Japan driving up the left-hand side of the field. Lovely hands by Japan, spreading the ball here. I question whether that's a hard touch there, but I think the ref is just going to play the ball there as the 6 touches come in and the US playing off their 7-metre line. And some interesting names when I look down this US score sheet. Craig Martin, the number 1. I remember him playing mixed open back in the 2015 World Cup in Coffs Harbour. I remember playing against him when I was in the England team. But Craig Martin, he's been a part of the US touch world for a very long time. So it's great to see him playing a big role in this men's 50s division. Japan now just centering the ball through Akifuma Mine. Uchiyama, the number 8, really directing a lot of this play. Mayurima with the ball now. Getting very static, Japan here. They just need to move the defence a little bit more. You can see them planning a play here through Yoshizawa. Lovely pass back. One more. Oh. Lovely, lovely score. I thought the defender got that touch in, but no. Straight in. Unfortunately, the US defender just stumbled on the line there. Great score, and he had the winger wide open as well. Amazing opening score from Tsukamoto. And the US definitely wanting a right of reply straight away. We can see Craig Martin with the ball, driving into the centre of the field, a little step back. But the referees are just going to call it up here for a forward pass. The referees have been on for a lot of these forward passes, especially off the ruck today. Forward passes and hips not square, the referees have been drilling the teams on those. And Japan very flat in these drives. They just need to get a little bit of depth to get some momentum driving towards their sub box, which they definitely got on that drive there. Question about an over the mark, which the referees have paid. Great to see the players making the call before the referees, as happens sometimes. Referees know exactly what they're doing as the US taking their first touch inside the Japanese half. You can see them trying to structure something through Charles Sanderson with the ball now. Little shimmy from Charles Sanderson. Oh. Great dive by Greg Wilkinson there. And dragging the defence out. Little short runner coming through there. And they've got the 6 again with Japan playing at that ball. We've had a couple of attempts through the middle of the field by the US, so don't be surprised if they ping a long ball at some time through here. Oh, lovely little ball back in. Tsukamoto solid in defence there. It's a lovely day down here at Riverside now. Rain stopped. The grass is dry. US trying to call the Japan team forward. Long ball out. Oh, and I think they've called a forward pass there. Or a touch pass even. But great effort by the US there. You can see them going for a few dives in the middle of the field and then pinging that long ball once the defence start to get towards the centre of the field. And Japan, once again, just quite flat in their drives towards the sub-box. They just need to start a little bit deeper and create a little bit of momentum by running really hard onto those passes. But here they go through the middle of the field and just a fumble at the roll ball there. So US being on the halfway line, will they try a tap-off move or go towards their sub-box? It is men's 50, so I reckon these boys need a bit of a break. So they've gone towards the sub-box, getting some fresh legs on there. Number 13 with the ball, Michael Flexman. Running a little short line there, Flexman now targeting these Japanese defenders, but unfortunately, looks like a forward pass in there. As Japan driving up towards their box, they've just not really gotten the momentum. Japan coming towards their sub-box. Nice little step inside, and here they go. US have just got to be careful about some of these touches. They're going in there very forcefully, as unfortunately Mine tried to nip through a couple of defenders, but didn't quite get through. As the US spread the ball and once again get some fresh players on. In this game, you'll see most teams drive towards their sub-box to get fresh players on every single set. As Craig Martin comes towards the middle of the field, running very laterally to centre that ball again. We see some middle play. Would love to see them spread the ball here. Craig Martin attacking that offside player, but the referees look like they're calling it back. Looks like a little touch pass in there, unfortunately, from the US, but Craig Martin with the right idea. You can see these players really listening to the referee, seeing what players are offside and really attacking that player. And here go Japan, driving towards their box. Good dump by Mine. He's been in a little bit of everything this game. Kawada. Lovely pace coming into the middle of the field. Unfortunately, just not initiating the touch there. Tanaka. Tell you what, Tsuji has some pace on him. And they've just run out of space on that far wing. But the US got a lot of work to do. They're going to have to bring the ball all the way back. A tactic used by a lot of teams to kill the ball on the opposite side of the field to try and force a team to use up a lot of touches getting it to their sub-box. But you can see the US 2 touches and they're driving hard towards their box now. And once again, centering the ball through Sanderson. Great yards by the number 3, Charles Sanderson. He's definitely providing some go forward, which is what they need here. They need to get that 7 metres into play. Charles Sanderson picking up from half. Little jink off the left-hand boot, but nothing doing. So 10 minutes through this first half, 1-0 to Japan. It's pretty even at the moment, to be fair. Japan just getting another penalty for a hard touch by the US team. The US team have been a lot more physical in their touches, and they've just got to be a little bit careful of that. I think they've been lucky a couple of times not to be penalised with a couple of tough touches as Japan driving towards the right-hand side of the field. Great yards here. Kashiwagi with the backwards white cap, centering that ball. Oh, getting turned around that defender every which way. Yeah, these US players in the middle, they've just got to make sure that they profile backwards so that they don't get turned around by their attackers. A little bit of confusion here between the two teams. I think there was a touch in there. The referees are having a chat and rightfully bringing the ball back. Having a little natter, sorting it out, and the touch was in for 6 touches. So here go the US. Spreading the ball. You know what, they should really look for the offload there. Japan only have 1 defender up. The US attackers just need to look for that offload to just keep on making yards. At the moment, it's taken them 3 or 4 touches to get out of their half, and they need to look for those extra passes, especially when Japan are only sending up 1 defender. And that's 6 touches now. A pretty quiet first half of touch. Down here. Lovely, lovely dummy by Japan there. Once again, we can see Japan just losing momentum in their drives. I just think Japan need to be much more intentional with driving the ball and driving it forward. They just look very hesitant. They look very flat, and I think they just need to nominate a player and just drive in hard and force the US to start rolling back their defence. But at the moment, the US are very set with their defence, especially when Japan are driving towards the box. And the US have the ball 10 metres off the halfway line. And the US, I have to say, one of the best kits going around this World Cup, from my view. Traditional stars and stripes down the sides of their kit as they drive towards the left-hand side. Fresh legs coming on. The likes of Craig Martin with the ball now. Quick dump, getting the ball back from Jeff Woods, who has the ball now. Good dump by Jeff Woods. Craig Martin going the other way. Space on the right-hand wing, and Wishka, easy as you like. I like that from Craig Martin, just bouncing off his left foot, ball straight out to number 18, Alexander Grice. And Alexander Grice probably deserves a try at the end of the day. He's been doing a lot of hard D over on that far side of the field, keeping Japan in their half. And it's all locked up, 1-1, 14 minutes down. And just like the scoreline, there's not a lot separating these teams so far. Lovely dive. Great touch in by the US team. Tanaka, so close. And just a bit enthusiastic about that pass, but here go the US. Middle of the field, very slow with these roll balls. I'd like to see them just a little bit more urgent on those restarts from the US as they drive towards their box. Nice work from the number 3, Charles Sanderson. Great dump in the middle of the field. One hand pick up from the US player. Little step back. And they need a half in here for Michael Stanton. And pick up here by the number 7 and straight through. But referee's going to call this back. I'm going to say forward pass. It looked all right initially. It looked like it was a bit over their head, but the referees are on the spot. And Japan, you can see these Japan support runners, they do just look a little bit flat and they're not really running with a huge amount of speed into the ruck. I just think they need to all take 4 or 5 steps back and create some depth for those runners. And we've got a pick up at half by Kashigawa, but caught by an onside defender. And I can hear the US box just screaming, get forward, get forward. just drive forward, get the meters, and get these fresh legs on. And this has been the attack pod for me with Craig Martin and Charles Sanderson. They work very, very well together. You can see them both at halves. Sanderson appealing for an offside player, but the ref having none of it. Fifth touch. Unfortunately, they've used up their strike dump. Normally, there's always a cut on fifth, as the boys have just demonstrated. But as they've also shown, it usually doesn't lead to much. As Japan rolling the ball and driving towards their sub-box again. Lovely little shimmy by the Japanese player there, getting in behind the defence. The problem with getting in behind the defence like that is that sometimes you'll just get a surprise touch on the back like the US defender there did, and it's very, very easy to run over the mark, unfortunately. So the US are in prime position to try and close out this half with an extra try to their name. Gary Brown having a little bit of a go in the middle as the 7-metre line is in play now. And I think this is a good call by the referee there. The Japanese are not happy, but I think also in the replay, the Japan defenders didn't really step up off their line. And I think that's a great call by the referee, that the ball was down first. And the US will be stoked with that. 2-1, 2 minutes of the first half to go. Plenty of time. And here go Japan. Nice drive. Mariyama with the ball now, feeding his link, bringing it into the middle of the field. Tsuji getting to half, passing off. Great scramble defence by the US there. I mean, a good set of attack from Japan. They use the full 6 touches. I feel like they just need that little bit more urgency in their drives. I'm talking about their drives quite a lot, but there just doesn't seem to be that intensity in players coming from depth. And it means by the time they get up to the 7-metre line to attack, they don't have a lot of touches up their sleeve to try a few different plays and to try and condition the defence to create a score. Here we go, Sanderson driving in for Craig Martin again. Martin pick up his half, passing long. And I think this was a good pass here from my perspective in the commentary box. And I've just been given the all clear that the referees think the same. And US now stretching their lead to 2 tries. And this should be the last possession of the game. 20 seconds on the clock. Still plenty of time for Japan to try and create a score in this last 20 seconds. Bang on the 7-metre line. Driving hard. Great touch by the US defender. Diving touch. And this will be last play. And just absorbing the touch there. So closing out the half. US 3, Japan 2. A close game so far. If I was in that coaching box, I'd be a lot more cold than what I am in the sheltered commentary position that we have here. But Japan, I think, just need to work on their driving. They just don't seem to have that urgency and that speed with their drives, especially when they are going towards their own box. I like to just see them create some depth and really drive onto that ball quickly. And the US, I think, had a really consistent half, so they'll be stoked with that scoreline. United States 3, Japan 2. Looking forward to a second half. Great to see a close game here on Field 1, here down at Riverside in Nottingham.
So please make your way down the side of the pavilion to the left and down the road. Players officials, this is your 1 minute warning. Players officials, 1 minute.
And 1 minute to go before tap-off in the second half of this very, very tightly contested men's 50s division between the United States and Japan. The US leading 3-2 and tapping off for the second half. Doing this little bit of commentary solo. So if you're listening, thanks for joining me. I was talking to another one of the blokes here in the commentary booth, and sometimes when you're doing commentary solo, he said it can seem a bit dry, and it's always good to do it with someone else, and I do tend to agree. But hopefully there's someone out there having a listen and having a watch of this very competitive men's 50s game. And hopefully we've got some friends and families of the players watching from North America and Asia. And hopefully you'll be very happy with how your team is playing. And it's definitely anyone's game at the moment as Craig Martin dumps the ball, a dump very deep into the Japan 7 metres, and I think that is a score. What an absolute cracker. I'll tell you what, unfortunate for the Japanese defender here, the ground after a night of rain is not the best. And just a little shakes again, but Japan 6 touches up their sleeve and they'll want to do something here. As it comes back into Tsuji in the middle, passing off to Yoshizawa. Oh. And Tsuji straight through. This was a classy bit of work by Suji. You can see him running a short line here, little dummy, and straight in for the dive. Touch not in. He's taken a knee, as he should. He is doing a lot of work out there for the Japanese team. Excellent score there. And they've got it back to within one, the Japanese team. Tsuji has been everywhere for Japan this game. He's been very, very solid. As the US are called for a forward pass. And here Japan are coming off their line, straight down the middle of the field. And once again, we can just see the US largely just sending one defender up, especially on that first touch. And if I was with this Japan team, I'd just say ask them to look for that offload, because it's an easy 5 or 6 metres if they can exploit that single defender being sent up. Suji again with the ball, attacking the outside. Ball away, play on by the referee, ball away for the wing, and another classy try by Japan. Lovely work. Oh, nice under pressure play. 2-on-1s. People in touch are going to train for those 2-on-1s day in, day out, and Japan have just shown exactly how it's done. And that last pass to the winger, they took their time but didn't put themselves under too much pressure, and a great try there to Shimawaka. And it's all tied up very, very quickly. 4-all. Dump on the 7 metres. And the referee's called the Japan defenders off. They're not happy. And let's watch the replay here. So a great dump. You can see that ball bang on the 7 metre line. And good call by the referee there. You can see neither defender got both feet on or behind that line. So excellent work from the US. And they've retained that lead, 5-4. It just feels like the intensity level has just increased in this second half in this men's 50s pool game. Oh, lovely work here. Tsukamoto just trying to step into the inside, but just running into traffic. Tsukamoto with the ball again, dump on the 7 metre line. Very static here now from Japan. And not a lot of options there for Ogiyama. And now in his defence, I'd like to see them just start to use a bit of a shooting defence and try and make the US take as many touches as possible in their own half, because at the moment it's only taking the US 1 or 2 touches to get out of their half, and they're spending a lot of time very close to the Japan try line. Little offload there by the US, but great scramble defence by Japan. And Japan now driving off their 7 metre line. I'd like to see them just be a little bit more urgent with these restarts. They're taking their time on the restarts, and it just allows the defence to set themselves to communicate, to plan exactly who's going to go out when, and you can see this now in the pattern of the US defence. They're ready, they're shooting, they're keeping Japan up the middle of the field. And it's taken 3 or 4 touches for Japan now to get some yards on, some momentum now. Lovely pass back, but the refs have spotted a forward pass. Oh, such a shame. That was looking very, very nice for Japan. As the US now driving, and we can see the Japan defence just start to roll back now, every single one of these touches. Craig Martin back on the field with Sanderson. This duo, I think it's quite clear they've been playing together for a long time, as Sanderson goes in for a dive. And I think the referee must have called the Japan defence offside again. We'll watch it on the replay. Watch where those players are, and I think the referee must have judged them to not have made the onside line, as Sanderson with a well-deserved try. He's done a lot of work out there and a lot of work in support play, so it's great to see him get a score on the board. Now Japan are going to want to make something happen now. They don't want this lead to be extended at all, but unfortunately they've just been picked up for an error here with a forward pass. These teams, there's been a lot of forward passes in this half, and I think rather than the person passing the ball, it really speaks to the depth of the support players. I think all the support players just need to take a couple of steps back as the US driving very, very well. I think the US subsets have been a real strength of theirs. As we've got Wilkinson in the middle of the field. Wilkinson taking... Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely work. Oh, well deserved. And watch this. A real key in touch is to get this strike dump on the 7 metre line. And you can see it bang, 7 metres. It forces the defence to make that try line. And Sanderson just threading through those two players. Great work there. And 7-4. They've opened up in the second half, the US. Gregory Wilkinson taking a few well-deserved deep breaths there as Japan trying to create something here. It's going to go for some phase play, but have just slowed up things now. They're playing a very narrow channel here, Japan. Oh, that looks good for me. Yes. Nice call by the referee. They were playing very, very narrow there, but you can see a dive coming in here from Ogiyama. Very, very slow, very static. Here goes Ogiyama. Dive just outside the 7, and lovely done. Sanderson just a bit too slow with that covering dive. Lovely work by Ogiyama. 7-5. 11 minutes on the clock. Now these pool games are really, really key for the overall tournament. A lot of these pools will end up resulting in sometimes quarterfinals, but semis and finals, and you want to try and get the most favourable semi-final draw. I don't think any of these teams are going to be wanting Australia, so with Australia and New Zealand really the strong teams in a lot of divisions, the race is on to try and get a solid position as the referee calls a penalty against Japan, and they're going to give the US 6 chances at their line. And they've got these 2 playmakers on again. Sanderson to Martin. Sanderson looking for the phase play. But once again, the covering defence has been judged to be offside. Oh, I think he just missed the touch, actually, unfortunately. Tell you what, those 2 gentlemen, I keep on repeating their names, but Craig Martin, Charles Sanderson, having an absolutely cracking game and really making a difference in this match that they've got against Japan. But there's plenty of time on the clock, 10 minutes. Oh. Suji, he's been everywhere. And speaking of a player who plays in the age grades as well, this last 10 minutes of the game is when players will start to tire and the game can really open up as Suji picks up from half. Unfortunately, just lacking that player ready there for the inside ball. I think the right idea was had there as well. As the US now driving towards the middle, they need a half here. And not going directly towards their box, which I think is quite effective sometimes for players to mix up their sub-plays. They've just continued through the middle of the field, trying to get the penalty for an offside play, which the referee has rewarded. I think it was quite clear that the referee was calling one of the players off, and the US has just tried to exploit that, which they've done successfully. As Gregory Wilkinson, he scored already and he's got another one. I mean, for a big bloke, he gets very low on those dives and he gets under the defender's hands. You can see him get the ball here, and look how low he gets that ball. Slides it across the ground, probably a metre before the try line, which is very, very hard to defend against if you haven't gotten up and off your line. And gotten them back out to a 4-try lead. And unfortunately that wet field is impacting play again. Japan has a history of producing some incredible touch players who are very agile and very, very steppy. And sometimes with the ground the way it is, it can just be a bit tough to play when you can't get a firm grip on the ground. As the US now driving towards their sub-box now. Good defence by Japan. Great work by Hamada. The number 9 is the winger. Getting up into the US line. Good work by the mids there, including Ishikura, the number 2. And scramble defence coming over. Yeah. Ooh. And unfortunately, he's just missed the touch there. That's unlucky, because until this, the defence was amazing. But just missing that touch and letting Mark French go in there for a score that he looks pretty stoked to get. He's celebrating like he's off a nudie run, so great to see Mark French with a score. And a much-needed penalty for Japan here. They're going to get 6 shots at the US line. 6 minutes left in play, and Japan need to create something, and they just have their lovely, lovely dive. And once again, off the back of a very, very static play. I think that was Kashiwagi. And I think that US defender is being judged to be offside, which is acknowledged. Yeah, Kashiwagi, lovely, lovely dive. And I think that was a play-on call. Great, great heads-up play by Mine. Akafumi Mide. It's so frustrating. This is such a coach killer. On the back of great heads-up play, winning that ball back, and just an error, gifting it straight back to the US. And it happens so often in touch when you'll do so much hard work to win the ball, and then you gift it with an error like that, as we see Sanderson go in. And I think we've got a forced sub there. I think having a bit of a chat to the refs, and the refs do want to maintain a lot of respect. So Sanderson off for a quick breather as Japan driving towards their sub-box. But unfortunately, a loss of control. They're just coming into the touch, not initiating, and losing control of that ball, unfortunately. And the US team look solid here. They haven't made a lot of mistakes. They've been pretty consistent across the park as they go on the outsides here. Touch made on the 7 metres, short runner coming through there, and the try after a discussion between the referees, is going to be pulled back. I'm going to say for a forward pass, yeah. I thought that ball from the half was very questionable with the speed that that player was coming in. So Japan trying to spread the ball, getting back towards their sub-box, but just a bit of a loose pass, unfortunately. And this is where it's a bit of a heartbreaker, especially when you've only got a few minutes of the game, all the boys are tired, and sometimes that's when the passes just get a little bit loose. As desperate as you are to get off the field, you do just need to make sure that you do pass in an effective way, as we've just seen the US replicate that. But we can start to see the fatigue come in terms of some of the errors that are coming through. But Japan, they'll want to finish this game in a positive way, driving towards the sub-box. Good yards there. Pulling it into the middle of the box. Kashiwagi scored earlier this game, but caught at half. With 2 minutes on the clock, the US definitely have this game wrapped up. Still playing to a very high level of intensity, the US as well. You always see games at this stage when it's 2 minutes to go and you think you're 4 tries ahead. Is this the time when you relax a little, when you take your foot off the pedal? But I think this is the best situation to train for an event when the scores are levelled up and you do need to score with 1 or 2 minutes on the clock. Unfortunately, we've just had a player go down for the US, Timothy O'Hara. Hopefully it's nothing serious for Tim. He's got some assistance coming out to him now. As Japan driving it into the US half, and this may be the last possession for Japan in this game, so they want to make it a good one. Throwing it back in, Mine taking off from half, but great covering defence from Flexman there on the inside. And we can hear the US telling their players to use the 6 touches. Sanderson nipping out of a couple there and making it into the opposition half on their second touch. They're driving very, very effectively, this US team. And picking up from half. And 10 seconds to go. So listening out for that final hooter, which has just gone now. Japan, and they're going to finish in a blaze of glory. Passing it out to the right-hand wing. The sprint's on. But the US is not going to compromise this final score of 10-6. It's a little game on field 1 for the first one I've seen down here in Riverside. I think the US will be really, really happy with this game. I thought they were solid across the park. I thought their driving was excellent. Their defence, especially their defence of the Japanese midfield, was very, very effective. So they're going to be very happy with that score. And yeah, those key players, Craig Martin, Charles Sanderson, I thought Gregory Wilkinson in that second half was great as well. But Japan, they've got a lot to take out of that half. If there's one thing, I would just maybe focus on that midfield D and maybe push a couple of other players up in defence to try and force the opposition to work a lot harder to get out of their own half. But when they got within sniffing distance of the try line, Japan looked very dangerous, and Tsuji was outstanding, the number 6 for Japan. So the US winners at full time, 10-6 in the men's 50s pool game. And up next, we've got the men's 45s division, Switzerland versus the